is necessary to men. Woe to him who believes in nothing.
So, what philosophical truths and lessons about faith can we ascertain from a pixelated, blocky, low-fidelity Atari 2600 looking ass game about a blue man violating a purple alien in the woods with a long-ass rifle? Nothing. Not if we don't zoom out a little bit first. What we see initially is a minimalistic, weird horror game that we play drunk on a Friday night in the early 2000s on Newgrounds. By the end of the game, we find that it looks pretty much the exact same. It looks like ass. Except for the fact that we've gone off the deep end and a plunge into the dark unconscious realms of human psychology, morality, and perception. Through an artfully crafted survival horror mystery that tears your psyche apart as you grapple with the feelings of despair, guilt, shame, and a profound loss of hope, culminating in a transformative rebirth. A new genesis, if you will, after everything's been stripped away. Okay. So now what? Open your heart to the Lord and have faith, my brothers. Have faith in the redemptive power of the light. Have faith that He will deliver you to hell. Like all good things, they come in threes, developed by Airdorf and published by New Blood Interactive. The first of its 3 episodic chapters dropped in 2017, with the second one in 2019, before the third crusty cartridge hit the blockbuster shelves in 2022, where they got rid of the first 2 standalone titles and combined all 3 chapters into a full release, The Unholy Trinity. You play as Father John Ward, a priest haunted by a failed exorcism of a young girl that spiraled into tragedy. Set in the 1980s, the game follows his return to the scene of that spiritual collapse, a secluded house in rural Connecticut, where he hopes to cleanse the lingering evil and atone for his botched bro job with his priestly father in crime against the purple alien, the 17-year-old Amy Martin of the Martin family, armed only with the holy golden crucifix of God and his priestly necky thingy. Yeah, that thing. John shambles his blue ass through a forest fighting white Spider-Man and getting an invitation to a very nice birthday party. Finally arriving at the lovely Martin's residence in the bum-hick woods of Connecticut nowhere, where he was a year earlier. At first glance, Faith looks like a game that adolescent Jack Black would try to sell you on, using the most exuberant language.
Giant scorpions and man-eating crocodiles.
To describe the most blocky, blotchy, piece of shit game known to mankind, with things on screen barely resembling what they're actually supposed to be. But that was a different time. Like Pitfall Harry, that was the inherent charm of those games. The worse the graphics, the more you had to use your imagination to fill in those damn gaps. That's why your memory of your old games look way better than they actually were. We lost a critical piece of that beautiful creativity of our individual imaginations when we started to fill in all those missing pieces and janky gaps with space-time reflections and ray tracing bullshit. It does look good though. Because of the limited graphical style, the show and tell aspects of the game are distilled into the most essential elements. The world building and story is revealed mostly through notes that you find as you exercise random f***ing items in the world with your holy cross, like a ginormous jizz stain on the ground.
Oh, that's my jizz.
Or a haunted rubber ducky.
There's a fucking ghost in the rub-a-dub-dub.
With objects just being clear enough to discern what they actually are, but just muddy enough to draw your own interpretation of it. Faith starts as a linear exploration as a simple mystery of an exorcism gone wrong, but as note after note explains more lore and more characters, we reveal that this isolated incident of a priest fucking around in the woods is actually just a small piece of a cultish mega conspiracy to shove 6 babies into a girl's carved out face hole to open a portal to hell. Yeah, what the f***? What the f*** is wrong with this game? If you're an introverted, cerebral motherfucker like me, and you're interested in a game that has deep lore, mystery that gets revealed piece by piece, a great big feast for the imaginative mind, this game's for you. 'Cause this is really not that much to look at. That being said, what makes Faith really striking isn't just its unsettling atmosphere, emboldened with the powerful tool of your imagination, supplemented by more modern storytelling techniques of cutscenes through the use of rotoscope animation, aka a dude with a towel on his head, or very impressive arm acting. but how it builds dread through silence, suggestion, and symbolism, twisting already dark expectations and subverting them with even more delicious nightmares. However, what I don't like is how in a game almost completely about exploration, you got a character like Father John who moves like a 90-year-old geriatric shambling zombie snail of a walker, leisurely taking a stroll as the f***ing forces of hell are running his pixelated ass down. Look how slow he is. And it's the worst when you get to the apartment stage and you gotta walk back and forth 5 screens worth of screens per floor times 10 f***ing floors. Nah, they must have been smoking that crack cocaine out the devil's anus when they made this stage. Who thought this was a good idea? And for a horror game, it's also really not that scary. Despite the proper dread evoked from the silence, just walking from screen to screen, not expecting much, and then suddenly, what the fuck? John in his Apple computer text-to-speech loud-ass bitch voice for no reason and with no apparent warning would say the most innocuously random bullshit.
Someone drop off your car here.
Scaring the bejesus out of me.
That is the scariest thing, more than anything. Just randomly talking. Pure silence and then...
But most of the time, these silly little cutscenes, they're just funny.
What have you done? I have someone in the pit.
Okay.
But slowly, the horror shifts from outside threats to the ones inside. Doubt creeps in, and the game stops feeling like a game and starts feeling like a mirror. Not literally, but emotionally, allegorically, philosophically, violently, as your innocent curiosity gets slowly filled in with a dark knowledge of reality. The reality that you will inevitably fail at your task despite your efforts. The reality that the graphics won't get any better. You slowly lose hope. You slowly lose your sanity. You question the premise of the game itself, the motivations of the characters as religiously noble ambition turns to self-preservation, hard choices and regret as the good gets twisted and the evil only deepens. The themes of guilt and burden hit hard, not because of John's initial failings, but by the choices you as a player make and decisions that pave the stones of his redemption or further descent. I see that in my own life, with my worst pain not coming from failing to reach my goals, but by breaking my own word, from violating my own internal rules. If I lied, a part of myself knew, my subconscious was keeping score, and that knowing stuck with me no matter how things looked from the outside. That's what guilt is, not failure, but the betrayal of self. Just like Father John, the game makes you choose over and over again, with its different endings culminating as a reflection of those difficult and often invisible choices. Would you be willing to suffer for what you believe in? And then you question if the events you've played are even real, as notes contradict and the reliability of the main witness is put into major question. He's hallucinating bullshit. The black and the white subtly mix into shades of gray, in which you ought to discern your own interpretation of the events. The game quietly asks, so, what do you believe in? Me, personally, I believe in a thick, curvy lady who will present me with a choice between Game Boy, chocolate cake, and a VHS copy of the 1999 BBC special, Walking with Dinosaurs. Finally, the darkest part of faith, the idea that faith itself isn't always holy. It can be twisted, weaponized. Belief can be distorted, and we see that everywhere. People staking their egos, their identities, their lives on ideas they never even question. It's very easy to spot in the world around us, but much harder to see within ourselves. However, it's very easy to detect when the cult leader's name is Gary, and he writes his entire letters in red ink and then signs his letters saying he loves you. Yeah, this guy's evil as fuck. But it's really something when a game, or in this case, a pixelated low-fidelity interactive work of art, can act as such a deep mirror for personal reflection because it made you feel something. That's how you know they made something worthwhile. If you find this even a little bit interesting, I'm suggesting you give it a try. I'm not religious. Not in the Catholic tradition, not in Hinduism, Buddhism, or any organized system. I don't go to church, I don't wear the symbols. But I believe in the underlying thing they all trying to point to. Faith. What is faith? Really? It's when life strips away your comforts, your routines, your structure. When your mind fails you, your tactics fail you, and your strategies collapse. Your ego's not enough. And then And then what are you left with? That feeling, that yearning, that hope. Faith that your next step will land you on solid ground. Faith that what's inside will carry you beyond what you know. It's not philosophy, it's not logic, it's something deeper, something quiet. It's the very sound of your heart and soul, something that moves you forward when nothing else will.
A gun with one bullet.
Like a gun with one bullet, the fact that you only have one shot suddenly gives you a sense of clarity. All the false doors close, and the right path illuminates before you. So get to work, and do it well. And remember, in the darkest of moments, that life itself was always an act of faith.